Another block of land, another fight over ownership.
We just want our land returned back to us. It was taken wrongfully.
It's a familiar story. Māori land lost, acre by acre.
We know that there's been 20 years of dealings on this land without our consent.
But time is running out for this whānau. Their whenua could be gone forever.
The next meeting will be the deadline to cast our vote. And it's either we're going to retain the land or we're going to lose it.
Whenuanui 2B has a long history. In 1917, it was Māori freehold land and had 5 Māori owners, one of whom was Philip's great-great-grandfather, Wera Takaroki.
It's whānau land. It goes back some generations. In 1958, there were 3 transfers from the original 5 Māori owners at the time, and that was made to Robert Claude McCowan.
Robert McCowan was a Pākehā farmer who purchased part shares of Whenuanui 2B. His interests were only 113 of 160 shares, leaving the rest, 47 shares, in Māori hands. Over time, though, future transfers didn't record the Māori ownership interest on the title.
My great-grandfather's, his name is Te Whata Takaroki, so he didn't sell his shares, and that's why we're here.
In 1999, when Whenuanui 2B was transferred to Robert McCowan's descendants, the Kidd family, the records show all of the block went to them, not just part of it.
How was that possible?
I don't know. I can't give you an answer on that.
It gets worse. In 2000, Richard Kidd was able to cancel the land title, amalgamate Whenuanui 2B with neighbouring blocks, get a new land title and record it as general land.
Philip only found out about his whānau land and its complex history last year, after his mother passed away.
It was really heartbreaking, really, to know that my mum could have been living in Helensville. And here she is in the State House, living in South Auckland. Yeah, there was some real potential to do something on the land, but we weren't given that opportunity.
So, who are the Kidds? Well, they're a wealthy farming family from Helensville. Their farm spans over 150 hectares, including Philip's whānau land, Whenuanui 2B.
We know that the Kidd family own 150 hectares. We only own 3.5 acres. Like, why would you want to take our 3.5 acres from us? You're not just depriving me, you're depriving my mum's grandchildren, you're depriving my mum's great-grandchildren of this land, and yeah, why would you do that?
The Register General Land have admitted to making errors and that Philip's whānau have been deprived of their whenua, but surprisingly, that doesn't guarantee that they'll get their land back.
What LINZ has come out and said, Land Information New Zealand, is that they would not normally amalgamate Māori land with general land. And so we've got a big problem here.
But they did in this case.
But they did in this case, and now they're coming out and stating that they made errors. You need to correct those errors, and you need to correct them quickly, because we've got children, we've got grandchildren, my parents have got great-grandchildren, and they're missing out, you know, on their land.
A letter from the solicitor for the Register General Land says despite the error, the Kidds and their solicitors were well aware that only 3/4 of the land was transferred to them. However, the RGL understands the Kidds will rely on the LINZ records as proof of their ownership. Philip believes that the Kidd family and the Crown should be held accountable.
The Crown knew that when they transferred our shares into the name of the Kidds, they knew how much shares that we owned. They made it happen. They allowed it.
For 20 years, the Kidd family have been using the land. It wasn't until an investigation into Whenuanui 2B was undertaken by the Māori Land Court the inconsistencies were found. The Māori Land Court records showed the land as Māori freehold land, but the Land Transfer Office records did not. The Māori Land Court records showed in 2013 the land was owned by 15 owners, 14 of which were Māori. The Land Transfer Office recorded only 2, Diane and Richard Kidd. Māori land law expert David Williams says this is common with Māori land.
Do you think this happens a lot without whānau realising it?
Unless people are actually positively looking out for their interests, then land disappears into land transfer title. And once it's in land transfer title, even though the Māori Land Court says it's still Māori freehold land, it ain't anymore because, well, it is, but it doesn't exist anywhere.
Yeah. And a lot of Māori land is lost like this?
No, a lot of small bits of Māori land are lost like this. And in the past, no one would have cared about that. But because people these days are looking for their iwi and hapu roots, the whole context has changed now, and politically this is an issue that probably calls out for wider inquiry, really.
David says the law protects the person with the title.
You can't undo titles that have been issued. So if this land at the Kaipara area near Helensville is got a certificate of title, the people that have got that certificate of title, they have got it indefeasibly. You cannot undo their title, even if there was a mistake made by the Māori Land Court and by the Registrar General of Lands when that title was first issued. And the remedy in law for shoddy administration is just money, compensation. If people want their tauranga waiwai, if people want their bit of land back, then they have to contest the land transfer title, and that's the problem. Unless you can prove actual fraud by someone, then that title is essentially sacrosanct.
The Kidd family have rejected an option to partition the land, instead offering $34,000 as compensation to the Māori landowners. That works out to be just $11,000 an acre. The Kidds say it's a sign of good faith to resolve the issue in a practical way. Philip disagrees.
Oh, look, it's not about the money for us, you know, and you can put in whatever figure, you know, 10 million, whatever you want. We just want our land returned back to us. It was taken wrongfully.
David suggests another resolution could be brokered where whenua can be returned.
In your opinion, what would be the best solution in this case?
Well, clearly the best outcome, I think, would be for the farming family to say we acknowledge that there are these shares of Whenuanui 2B that have accidentally got into our title. Here is a nice equivalent little piece of land, and then cut out a title. The difficulty then is cost. Who pays the cost? And at that point, I think the Māori owners of this missing land should say, rather than the Registrar General pay compensation for shoddy administration, they should pay for the valuation and surveying and partitioning out of the remaining little block of land. That would seem to be a sensible solution. It doesn't impede the farming, and it gives people their tauranga waiwai back.
Philip and his whānau now have to vote whether to accept the compensation or to take the case to the High Court at a cost of $40,000.
I'm just hoping that the votes go our way, because really not looking forward to selling any land at all. You know what I'm saying?
Or at least we could put the proceedings on hold until we get a full investigation, because I think that's fair.
Yeah.
It's been a frustrating journey, but they're determined to put the record straight.
Yeah, there's been a lot of injustice of how things have occurred in the past.
It's not just for us, but it's for the future generations.
For now, this is as close as Philip can get to his tūranga waiwai. But he says there's a straightforward solution.
If the Māori people own the land, then just give it back. Right, simple as that.